Rumpelstiltskin, a fairy tale with an immense load of cultural, political, and social baggage. Once upon a time, there was a farmer who had a daughter. So right there, we're in medieval Europe in this whole paradigm of like man surviving with with daughter and what is her role, what is her use, and we're supposed to identify her with economic vulnerability, and both of them with economic vulnerability. But with a daughter, it's also leading us in a Jungian, Joseph Campbellian way into identifying our own sense of emotional vulnerability and romantic vulnerability and sensitivity with this leading character. So off we go with our vulnerables set in the economically vulnerable model of the daughter. So the king of the whole kingdom is single. Now, the king is putting out a notice and he's being like, yo, marriageable age women, come to me looking for a queen. Now, I could make this a homosexual friend because I am, not sure if this is clear, a homosexual. I could say that he's looking for a queen and leave it gender open. But I'm going to go the deconstructionist route and keep it in its cisgendered male heterosexual format, white, European, and say, okay, so the king, and I'm noting here, of an indeterminate age, because this could be like a May-December thing. I don't have a problem with that. I myself date young. Or it could be like it's a young king, so I'm making that okay. I'm going to leave that whole ageist discourse to you to figure out your whole discourse filters and agendas with what is age appropriate or not. Because I'm Hindu, and I'm just going to tell you that it's all, like RuPaul says, it's all drag, honey. It's all drag. There is some experiential difference, some knowledge and information difference in aging, but really, like, you could have a 20-year-old who is a soul that is incarnated for the last 200,000 years through 52 to 78 lifetimes and has all the wisdom in the world, marrying a 70-year-old who is a new soul and is incarnated maybe 12 times and doesn't know shit, spiritually speaking. And in the long run, na Shiva vidyate quachit. There is nothing that is not Shiva. All is one. We are each other, okay? If it's all one, we are each other. So basically, like, the divine is marrying itself in a sub-transcendent format. Let's get back to the story. So the farmer's like, I'm getting my girl in the castle. I'm making her a queen. Goes to the king, says, yo, I've got a daughter. She should be your queen. And the king is like, why should she be my queen? She's attractive to look at. And right there, it's like, okay, well, what does she look like? Because, like, it used to be like Marilyn Monroe, Zoftig, hourglass figure, little cushion on the little meat on the bone was the paradigm, or is it men like post 70s when women were supposed to be athletic with a tight ass and muscular, and now, or is it like now when it's supposed to be like women with the big ass and the big rack is back in, but it's not like the Zoftig thing. It's more like a hard thing, sort of shaped like the letter S. And if she can rap, so much the better, and has pink hair. Paradigm shift. So I'm leaving the attractiveness to the daughter to you. Just know that the king, white, cisgendered, heterosexual male, is judging her on physical only, okay? So far, not a consent issue, though. So the king says, what has she got going on more than her Nicki Minaj shape? And the farmer says, she can spin straw into gold. So here, right here, we've got a whole economic bias towards wealth. Like, wealth is desirable. Wealth equals romance. Wealth equals love. Wealth equals sex. Wealth equals beauty. It's fucking bullshit in my opinion, but okay, here we go. So the king says, all right, let's test this. And he says, farmer, you go home. I'm going to keep her in the castle overnight. And he takes her into a big room filled with straw. And he says, I want you to spin this into gold by morning. Closes the door, locks it, walks away. So the daughter is like, I am so screwed, and not in a good way. My father just made that up. I have no freaking idea how to turn straw into freaking gold. And she's weeping and weeping and weeping. And she's like, the king had said before he left, if you do not spin this straw into gold by morning, not only will you not be my wife, but cutting her head off. So right there you know that the cisgendered heterosexual white male patriarchy is not only domineering, not only deluded in what to look for in a partner, but is a fucking asshole. Sorry, kids, if they're children watching, those words I just used mean not a nice person. Family show. So she's weeping her brains out when all of a sudden there's a little, like, in this little teeny window in the high in the wall that she could never crawl out of, this little, like, gnome-like man appears and jumps into the room. Now, this is important. In the telling of this story, the little gnome-like man is unattractive. His body is not the right height according to the paradigm of male attractiveness. The king is supposed to be the epitome of desirable because he's got political power, he's got financial power, he is got social standing. One would assume he's attractive if one is believing this fairy tale is going to have a happy ending. Attractive in a classical magazine, pop culture notion of attractiveness, Brad Pitt. The homunculus does not have that. So right there, we are being bodyist, and we're being paradigmist. Why can't the gnome get some? So the gnome comes in and he says, I will spin this straw into gold for you if you give me something in return. The girl says, well, I do have this mother of pearl hair comb that keeps my hair up. It's not that valuable, but it does have some value. I could give you that. And the gnome says, yeah, that's fine. I'll do that. So he takes the comb and he spins all the straw into a pile of gold coins. And he leaps out the window and goes. And she's like eternally grateful. Next day, the king comes in and he's like, whoa, that's magic. Okay, but you could have set this up beforehand. You could have hidden gold in the room or had it in your dress or something. I don't know. I'm going to really test this. You got to do it again. Takes her to another room that has even more straw than the first one. Says, this spun into gold by morning, or... So, like, what is this king who's, like, wasting hay? I mean, he's getting gold, so I suppose you can buy more hay, but... Like, is he having to make farmers overproduce? Is her father, the farmer, producing the hay? Because that's kind of messed up to make the father have to go through this test that if she fails, she's going to die. I mean, that's just twisted. That's like an episode of Law and Order. I'm just saying. So, again, the door closes. He locks the door. She's weeping her brains out. Weep, weep, weep. And here again, she is the epitome of our identification with our own vulnerability, in that she has her full emotions. She's going to have romance. We can assume in the story there's a romantic thing that she's involved in. And she's got the sense of danger, fear, peril, anxiety, and sadness expressed by her weeping. She represents our emotional side and our vulnerable side. What does the king represent for us? The king represents how we're all assholes who believe that we have the right to get what we want. Because that's a part of our ego too. So she's weeping, and then the gnome-like man, who we're supposed to think is unattractive, but, frankly, there is someone for everyone. Believe you me, the things I have seen, the couples I have known, there is someone for everyone. You just got to put yourself out there with confidence. It doesn't matter what you've got. It matters how you wear it, how you walk it, how you talk it, and how you carry it. So he's like, okay, I can do the thing again. And she's like, are you sure? It's a lot of hay. And he's like, I could do the thing. If I can get in your window, I can do the thing. But I'm going to need something in return. What do you got for me? And she's like, well, I have this jade pendant necklace that my mother gave me before she died. It's a family heirloom, but I will trade this for you to help me spare my life by spinning this straw into gold. Total vulnerability. economic vulnerability. She's giving up something of family heritage, so there's like an ancestral value, and also it is a bit of monetary value that she has that she's handing over. So she hands it over to the man. So man, like women in vulnerable position, men taking value from vulnerable women. It's just this story. It's just like supporting sexism and the oppression of women, in my opinion. So he spins all the straw into gold, so he creates value for her. So the man has to create value. The undesirable man has to create value for the woman who's not only beautiful, not only an object of romantic affection to be, but is the epitome of our vulnerable feelings. Our vulnerable feelings are only perilous unless a man of any kind, including undesirable, gives them value. What the hell is that bullshit? Moo. Moo. No, I'm doing it wrong. It's sign language for bullshit. Did you know that? He leaves. King opens the door in the morning. He's like blown away. Straw, gold. Where'd the straw go? There's gold. Oh my God. He's like, okay, this is really good. This is looking good, but it's a 3-tiered test. You got one more room. Takes her into like what used to be the ballroom, and it's like crammed full of hay. Spinning wheel in the corner, and he's like, overnight, honey, all of this into gold, or else. Pop. Locks the door. Again, she's like, even if the guy shows up, the little guy, this is like 11 times more straw than he's spun before. I'm dead. I am dead. Moi, je suis mort. Like, you are looking at dead woman spinning. So she's weeping and weeping and weeping. And of course, the ostensibly unattractive gnome-like man appears in the window of the ballroom, jumps down, and he's like, hey, no problem. I got this. And she's like, 11 times more hay. He's like, hello, magically unattractive male figure can do this. Don't worry about it. He's like, what are you going to give me? And she's like, you want to sniff my panties? And he's like, I need something of value. And it's got to be, you got to up your game because this is a whole ballroom. And she's like, I have nothing. And he's like, oh, sorry. And he turns to go and she grabs his pant leg and she's like, please, please, you are the one who holds my life in your hands. And because she's so pretty and she's so sad, again, paradigm of beauty and our own vulnerability. So this is the one thing that can turn around the male oppressive patriarchy. Like this is some sort of thing saying that powerless women have the one power of beauty and a connection to our own inner vulnerable feelings. Like that's their power, is what we're being told here. But in the story, it works. And he says, all right, I'll tell you what. I do this, you're in. You're married, you're queen. Your firstborn child is mine. That's the trade. And she's like, ah! And he's like, no? Oh, fine. Turns to go. So like right there, this is the epitome of Donald Trump and the children in cages at the border. Like the oppressive, unattractive, male ego has to have dominance not only over the woman, but over procreation, abortion issues right there, procreation and children. It's just power of men over life processes in general. Even the straw to gold thing, I can turn some of the most common materials representing new life, growing life, the harvest, nature, man's relationship to nature. I, the male, can control that by turning it into something that has man-made and the epitome of value in the cisgendered heterosexual male world, gold coins. See that? Natural resource, women associated with nature in old archetypes, turning into man's paradigm of most valuable. So firstborn child, and she's like, okay, it's this or death. And she does what we call selling out. She gives up the life of her child to this guy by promising that she will give her firstborn child to the guy in order to protect her own life. Clearly she wasn't a mother yet, because no mother who's had a children could do such a thing, I'm just saying. Sophie's choice or no. So he gets to work and he spins the entire ballroom in the space of one night into gold coins. Ballroom is filled with gold coins. She's like, afraid she's going to be crushed by the gold coins. There's so many gold coins. Man hops out the window, says, firstborn child. Hops out the window. King comes in, opens the door. He's like, going, 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 going. Ups his military budget all of a sudden. Has now outspends every other kingdom around by like 7-1 in military spending. True story. So then the king takes the daughter of the farmer to be his wife and makes her queen. So now she has assigned value, political and social and monetary, given to her by the attractive male. Attractive because he's attractive socially, he's attractive politically, attractive monetarily. One presumes he's good looking because that's how these fairy tales are. So they put all of that into this one paradigm guy of exemplar of the men winning. So then we think she's good, she's assigned value by the male, she's good to go. All the vulnerability is over, except she has a baby. She's now participating in the male-defined discourse. You, woman, find your value and your function by procreating an heir for my political hegemony. That's the ontology. So she has the kid, and she's like, oh, good. Well, that night, she puts the kid in the cradle, right? Closes the window and locks the window. But she's worried. She remembers the bargain. The next day at court, she and the king are sitting there, and the baby's in the bassinet right by her feet. And in comes the little gnome-like man, and he walks up to the throne, and he says, I'm here for the baby. And the king is like, excuse me? And the queen starts to tear up. Vulnerability. So now the unattractive male, who has, however, a producer of monetary value. He is the one in the discourse that can take nature and turn it into the paradigm of the het cis male world's value of coins. One wonders if he's homosexual, because homosexuals live between the male and the female, the secular and transcendent, nature and man-made. Could be. It's for the archetypists to figure out. So he makes the attractive, powerful male vulnerable by taking his son. So it's kind of like Hephaestus. He's ugly, but he makes everyone's armor. And he says to the queen, look, give up the baby. You are alive to this day and in your position because of me. Give me that baby. And the queen gets down on all fours and on the floor, weeping, and gets his shoes wet with her tears. And she says, please give me some way that I may save my child. He's my firstborn. He's my child. He's my heart and soul. Well, the gnome, the paradigm of the unattractive male, takes pity on her, which actually empowers him, right? Because it gives him like the power to just say yay or nay. And he says, okay, I'm going to come back here in 3 days. Every day over the next 3 days, I'm going to come back here once a day. And if you can guess my name, you can keep your child. But I'm warning you, I'm setting you up. No one will guess my name. I'm taking the child on the 3rd day. So the queen's like, all right, okay, I got this. The gnome-like guy goes away. Now, at this point of the story, the king drops away. And it's really just between her and the gnome-like man. Why is now all of a sudden the ascribed signature of male beauty, value, and power irrelevant? Because we have the ugly side of manhood. And here's the thing, they're not different men. It's all male ego represented in 2 characters. I mean, it's all us, Jung. It's all our own ego. Our vulnerable side is struggling to have its worth, butting up against our egoic side, okay? So the maleness that is the dark side, the evil side, the wicked side, the bargaining, the steal your children, the I want what I want side, represented by the gnome-like man, is now in a struggle with sensitivity, vulnerability, and emotion. It's how our ego struggles with our heart. One could say how our mind struggles with our heart. Our mind can figure out a trick like turning straw into gold, knows how to go out into the world to turn resources into gold, colonialism. And it is the heart that deals with love, child rearing, children, vulnerability. So it's these two things in struggle. It's kind of a spiritual metaphor, despite the baggage. So she goes up to her room and she gets all the registers from the kingdom of births. And she goes over all these names and she looks for all these names. She picks out all the unusual names. The next day at the court, the gnome comes in and the queen is like, Richard, John, Harvey, Timothy, Quentin, Andrew, Michael, Stephen, Peter, Butch, Tony, Anthony, and the gnome like man is like, no, 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 no. And after hours of this, he goes away. And the queen says, 2 more days. The next day, the queen gets all of the spies and messengers that are employed by her husband and has them go through the whole town and the whole kingdom and tries to find out what everyone's name is in the kingdom and if they have relatives in other kingdoms, and she sends spies overseas. She gets all these names from all over the place. Next day, the gnome comes in and she's like, Torvald, Boleslas, Wenceslas, Nicolausio, Prasad, Rama, Olentunji, Zuma, Shaka Zulu, Pietro, Francois. And the gnome is like, nope, 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 nope. She's like, Red Feather, Sitting Thunder, Farts in Wind. Nope, 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 nope. Hours of this go by. She uses up all the names her spies could find. None of them are his name. He leaves, and she's like, I'm done. I'm done. If I lose my firstborn child, if I lose my baby, I will die from heartbreak. I don't know. I don't know what to do. At midnight, one spy comes in, and she's like, you got anything for me? And the one spy says, I found nothing, Your Majesty. Nothing. But there's this weird thing that happened when I was on my way back to the castle. You know those woods that are over, like, behind the castle on the other outside of the wall that no one goes in because they're all, like, dark and spooky and they're filled with briars? I went through them because I didn't know. On intuition, I went through there. Intuition. Haven't talked about intuition. Mind, heart, intuition. That's the paradigm of queer spirituality. Art, queerness, otherness takes you from the known paths into the unknown, and it is in the unknown that you can unlock the Gordian, untie the Gordian knot, unlock the unlockable locks that you find through intuitive knowing solutions to all. It's where you let go of the known, and the unknown is then free to bring up knowledge from the intuitive self. So this homosexual spy says, in these dark woods, unconsciousness, I passed by this little hut, and there was a fire outside, like a campfire, and this weird little gnome-like guy was like dancing around, singing some song about stealing babies. And he was like, I will get it. It will be mine. I will roast it. It will taste fine. I will have it come thick or thin. The queen will never guess my name's Rumpelstiltskin. Horrible rhyme, doesn't even scan. Definitely not cutting an album. But that's what I got. And the queen is like, Rumpelstiltskin. Rumpelstiltskin. I'll try it. Next day, gnome comes in, and he's like, well, I got my nice basket here for your baby. Oh, what's that bunch of oregano and the bunch of thyme at the bottom of the basket? Oh, just to make the basket smell fresher. It's not for seasoning food or anything. So the queen says, ip, 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 ip. I have to guess before you can take anything. Let me see. Neil?
No.
Oh, okay. Joellen? Are you clocking me as transgender? Queen says, I'm trying everything I can. What about, I don't know. Rumpelstiltskin. The little homunculus gnome-like man, whose name was in fact Rumpelstiltskin, was livid! He was furious! How could anyone guess the unguessable name? He had never told his name to another living soul since his mother had named it. It was his witch-like power that he could have his name and no one would know, because if they know your name, they have power over you. I'm sorry, that's from the unfucked up archetypes in ancient society. Um, and he was so angry, he stomped and stomped and stomped. And that's not fair! She cheated! Somehow she cheated! And he stomped so hard that he broke the floorboards in the throne room, Cheap Castle, and fell to his death into the alligator pit that the king had. There's a lever beside his throne. And he'd be like, oh, you didn't pay your taxes? Oh, sorry. Ka-chunk! Well, he broke the boards and fell, and the crocodiles found him a little gamey, but edible. And the queen kept her baby. The vulnerable, sensitive side won out over the ego by trusting someone who had been through the unknown. The intuitive knowledge from the unknown saved the day. So I told you this was a fairy tale with a lot of baggage. But it's also a fairy tale, go at it like a Jungian interpretation of a dream, that has a particular map to how we can solve our own problems when we are feeling anxious and vulnerable and struggling with our ego.